Restoring Illinois to greatness. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute and hosted by AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with Pat Hughes on this edition of Illinois Rising. And Pat, House Bill 40, which is Medicaid funding of abortion in Illinois, passed both chambers, House and Senate, goes to the governor's desk. He's indicated that he will veto that bill. And it's kind of wildly unpopular among the Illinois electorate. I'm talking about the general election electorate. It's always been unpopular across the board because even a lot of pro-choicers say, well, if you want to get an abortion, fine, but don't make me pay for it. That's your choice, so you finance your choices. I know it's a majority of Illinoisans strongly oppose public funding of abortion. It's like a 2.5 to 1 oppose versus support. So why would the Democrats do this?
Well, they're going to do it, so Rauner will veto it, and he can say that he's against women and women's rights and women's choice, even though that's not the basis on which he would veto it. Look, I think that what Rauner's doing here is very politically smart, and it's the right thing to do if he goes ahead. And first of all, if he doesn't veto it, Dan, he loses re-election. He'll lose his right flank. He has no chance. There's not enough vote on the North Shore to make up for it. So politically, he's got to veto it. And he can do two things here, right? He's a pro-choice person. His wife is heavily hardcore, disgustingly pro-choice.
But Rauner, when he ran, no social agenda. That's what he promised. He hasn't quite abided that promise, but this would right the ship a little bit.
Totally, because what it does is it tells all the people you just talked about in polling that we're not going to have taxpayer funding of abortion. To pro-life conservatives like you and I, it says, okay, at least as it relates to funding on this issue, he's on our side. And he can still claim that he's pro-choice, and the only reason he vetoed it is because, look, we're broke. We don't have the money for this type of expansion. So it's a little bit of a needle threading. I think he has to do it, and I think he can kind of get out of it politically in a strong way where he keeps his pro-choice support and also the right feels comfortable enough. But if he doesn't veto it, Dan, and I'll tell it straight to him, he's done.
Yeah,
he has no chance.
But I don't understand why this is in controversy. I don't understand why it's in controversy.
Is it in controversy?
Well, it was. Rauner was reticent to make public his view on this, even though 2 to 1, really plus, strongly opposed to it.
I know why it's in. I know why. It's because the people that surround him, whether it's his advisors or whether it's the people in his private life or whether it's the people he associates with, are he's influenced and pressured by that milieu, right? He wouldn't be looking at it politically. If you look at it politically, it is an absolute no-brainer. So it's really more of a social pressure kind of circumstance from inside his perimeter and the people he surrounds himself in everyday life.
But if he doesn't care about the social agenda, why wouldn't you just, having a social agenda, why wouldn't you just go right to the numbers and say, this is going to be a political decision because I'm agnostic on the topic. So if it's a political decision, it's an easy one. Because
Diana Rauner is so hardcore pro-choice, and they're married, and so there's got to be an issue when it comes to abortion. I don't know their relationship. I don't know what the deal is. But when you have that dynamic in your relationship and the people she and he surround themselves with, there's a lot of individual social pressure, which is why he was so weak in coming out. Thankfully, he's come to the right decision. I wish he hadn't had to be persuaded, but I think that's the reason.
Why? But okay, so now why Democrats? You didn't answer this question. Why Democrats? If they're upside down on this issue 2 to 1, why would they want to make a stand on it like this, something that's so unpopular?
And I tried to answer it as best as I could. I don't know exactly, other than to say they could take this particular bill, which is the only one they could get on abortion, and use it to say that he's against women and he's against women's rights and peel away support in the Cook County and DuPage and those places. That's why I think it's an imperfect vehicle for them to do it, but I think it's the only vehicle they have. So even if public polling opinion is off, they can still use the bill as a campaign tool, and it's the best campaign tool on this issue they could get.
Yeah, it's virtue signaling, knowing that Republicans don't want to talk about it, won't run on it, so they will, and they'll mischaracterize what it is, and it'll be one of these this is who we are type of issues, identity issues, particularly for suburban women, depending on the region, who tend to identify as majority pro-choice, and it's a way for them to continue to hold the incursions they've made into the suburbs, which means Madigan's majority holds and Governor Rauner loses. That's the play, and the in my estimation, and the mistake is to let them make that play where we're kind of trying to get rid of it as soon as possible and then run away from it. We don't want to address it. We don't blah, 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 earmuffs. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. Rather than leaning into it and engaging the public so they understand just exactly who is where and why. And this problem for the Republican Party and for Rauner repeats itself over and over and over again. You want to understand why Republicans are in the super minority despite Chicago Democrats who've destroyed this state's economy, who've made us a laughing stock, frankly, who are forcing people out of Illinois. You look to this issue and how the two sides, as an example, how the two sides handle it, because this is how how it goes on so many other issues as well. It's really telling, and it's why we're losing races we should win.